Awesome. Okay, typing out some preliminary notes. But I need to do some of this stuff. So,
man, my old friend's brother just died.
Oh, I'm sorry.
fuck, Corona.
No, the cause is unknown yet. He was a lead singer in a band.
Dang, sucks. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. I mean, it's not all good, but
You're
I
good.
feel bad for that guy.
Oh, I need it. Okay. Turn my lights on. Grab a source book. Okay, came together sort of interestingly, but we got it all in there. This stuff can close. Do y'all hear those dogs?
Barely.
Yes. Oh,
The howling ones, the barking ones in the background.
they're not that big a deal.
You have headphones on, Adib?
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. That's fine.
I'm in danger.
I wonder if I can make sure that doesn't bleed through.
I didn't notice anything. Maybe I'm crazy.
I mean, if it's not showing up in yours, then that's maybe best.
It's are you using headphones, Keaton?
No, I've got like 2 monitor speakers and a condenser mic.
Adib's using headphones. That's probably why you can hear it.
Got it.
Yep.
Yeah, I've got a lot of.
So if anything,
noise.
Adib probably hears it a little better. So it is in the stream, but probably not a big deal.
Check.
What's up? I can hear y'all.
I'm testing a noise gate on my recording, so it doesn't pick up like my fan hum.
Okay. So, city name. We settled on Salt Star Port. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And the people there are Gabriel and potentially Ian. Ian, I forgot. You said you were kind of
Check.
kind of like from around, but you aren't necessarily from this town, but you could be there. Do you have a preference on kind of how you enter this course of events, or?
No, not really. If you just want to, if it's easier for me to just be in the city, that makes sense to me. So
I'm gonna pitch something to you in a PM. It's not like super secret, but it is at least like a prompt or whatever for you to kind of like potentially interject yourself organically.
here on Discord, or
Yeah.
And once you're done like making your character in Fantasy Grounds, if you hit the library button and then go up and hit play at the top, it'll give you different buttons that are more handy for when we're actually playing the game. Like a notes section and a button to pull up whatever map we need to look at. Stuff like that.
I sent the PM to you.
yeah, I'm down for that.
Very cool. So it is. Man, I always hate the first sentence of an adventure is always the most intimidating kind of like way to start because that's the ball rolling. It's whatever. Anyway, yeah. So we'll start in Salt Star Port. It's kind of your average day. The sun's coming up. The markets are sort of beginning to bustle. Salt Star Port, as the name would indicate, kind of rests on a coast, and the commerce and the merchant traveling and all of that make it sort of a bustling nexus of passersby and wealth and all sorts of things. So at the center of sort of town is a square that kind of is nestled in between the sort of like the working class peasantry and sort of like what's the word I'm looking for, passersby, people who are only here visiting, and the other side of town, which is sort of where the established like merchant class and aristocracy and where the moneyed classes live. In the places where those two meet is a large marketplace, and at the beginning of every morning, as kind of the ports start to as all the ships at docked in the port start to like load their crews and kind of like set off for the day or set off to go fishing or start shipping or whatever. A All the normal kind of crowds begin to gather in the marketplace, but a sort of eccentric looking halfling appears to be in his late 30s, kind of boldly sort of strolls through town and nails up a notice in the middle of kind of like the market that in places where people post job offerings and things of that nature. And it sort of kind of gets a little bit of buzz going in the town. And after he's done nailing up his little notice, he moves into a nearby inn and kind of takes up a room. But there's sort of like a buzz about town. So let me check my notes or your player name. Finry and Julia, both of you kind of wake up, and as you begin to go about your normal sort of daily routines, you kind of begin to hear buzzing rumors of some kind of like, some people are dismissive. Some people are like, oh, it's another one of these, like somebody else looking for this like fairy tale land or whatever. And then some of the rumors are more akin to like, oh my gosh, there's this new guy in town and he's offering just like an insane amount, but he's looking for like someone to accompany. Like you kind of hear bits and pieces about sort of like there's a little bit of talk around town. It's like the thing of the day. So yeah, let me know what you do. How does this catch you in your day? How do you respond to these sort of murmurs?
Well,
do you want to go first, Julia?
sure.
Okay.
Well, Julia usually starts their day in the sewers, waking up, catching some breakfast in the nearby salty water.
Mhm.
And like after like I don't know, frying up a fish. Well, I guess they don't really even cook their fish. They just kind of eat it. But they're like gobbling down some fish as they go back up to the surface level. And they have their like robes and cloak kind of on, uh to not make it too obvious that I'm a giant lizard. But I mean, people know, and it's just kind of like a thing, just so I don't like get harassed by, I guess, kids.
Mm.
I'm like going through minding my business and like kind of like going about my day as, an urchin that grew up in these streets. and it becomes super obvious that there's like a buzz, and I kind of look around to see what people are talking about. And I'll probably take notice at some point that there was like a notice put up.
Mhm.
And I guess, is this normal? Is this a thing I'm like used to seeing?
I mean, people come and post job postings and calls. Adventurer postings are rarer, but even among this, it's a little bit unique. It's like not totally out of the ordinary. It's the kind of thing that people just do. There's sort of like a market. There's like a board in the market. There's like job postings, kind of like what's the word I'm looking for in the newspaper?
Yeah. Is it
yeah,
normal for people to post about this specific place?
Sonottia.
Yeah.
Yes and no. It sort of happens here and there. Somebody will kind of like be like, "Hey, I'm gonna go find this place." It's sort of like a like I'm gonna go find Atlantis type of thing in a real world analog. It's like some people buy it, some people are interested in it, but most of the time it's sort of kind of written off as a sort of like
Like a fool's errand.
yeah, fool's errand. People go, they come back, they don't come back with anything. People go and they don't come back. It just seems like for most people, there's like they hand wave it.
Right.
But what you notice is peculiar about this particular job posting is that the whoever posted it, which it's signed Ginrick. Oh, what did I say? Ginrick Laughing Bone. It's signed by a man named Ginrick Laughing, and he is basically promising just like untold treasures or whatever. Like the promise of reward is exceptional for this kind of posting, and that has got people sort of talking. It's like, well, hey, it may be
cool.
stupid, but if it'll make me rich, then screw it. Like if he's good for the money, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's super cool. I'm like, well, if this is like basically the newspaper bulletin, I would definitely come to this place like probably every day to see what's going down and what, shitty odd jobs I could do to like survive. I mean, Julia lives a squalid lifestyle, so there's not really any upkeep, but that
You still
doesn't mean,
yeah.
there's still like, I mean, I live in the city, so like there's like needs that need to be met, and also just like part of Julia's life is like almost like observing. I mean, at this point they've lived here for a while, but like it's still a thing that they like observe and like have a desire to be a part of the community.
Mm-hmm.
And usually it comes through like the way of like odd jobs and just being a useful person.
So kind of you're just sort of in it to leisurely kind of like make a little money here and there and just like maintain a community connection.
Right. And
Very
when we talked about a little bit about my like urchin background and the reason I kind of want to leave town, I'm like looking for a reason to leave town.
So you're like as good a reason as any. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, yeah. People are catching on about like, the unrest that's happening with like the peasantry that I was helping out with. So I'm like, hey look, this bullshit fool's errand sounds a lot more attractive. So I'll definitely read it.
Very cool. Part of the notice kind of directs you. It's like for those seeking seriously, like for serious inquiries, see me at. And he posted where he basically rented a room and holed up. So you know where to find him. It's at it's like at an inn, and we'll go ahead and name that inn. I named several other inns, but I'm improvising this session. So,
yeah, I'd say that Fenry also visits the news posts daily, more so just out of curiosity, and occasionally picking up odd and end jobs that look interesting or worth jumping in on. And she greets Julia and considers them to be a pal, and asks how the daily catch was today.
Oh, you know each other. Okay, cool.
I was gonna ask and make sure that we knew each other. I mean, I was excited about the idea. Cool. I was gonna say the next thing I was gonna say. I was like, well, before I hit up this person, I'm gonna go hit up Fenry.
Oh, very cool. You bump into each other
I
then.
read the newsletter in your hand, and I'm like, this actually seems kind of interesting. You know, do you wanna go together? I'm kind of nervous. This might be just another ploy or fake, swindle, but we should go check it out.
Yeah, if you know, if it sounds like a good idea to you, then I'm interested too. If usually I don't like buy these sort of like tall tales, but there's some pretty good money in it. And I trust your judgment. And also, here's a fish I promised you. So I pull it like I pull a fish out of my sleeve.
Well,
I tuck that bad boy in my back pocket with gratitude. And I say that I just have a gut feeling about this. It's not so much the large reward as much as just an intuition.
I'll note that the promise of reward, while he assures you it is large, it is extremely vague as written. Like, it does sort of like look fishy, but you're intrigued enough to at least check it out, right?
Yeah, I say it looks fishy and like wag the dead fish that Julia gave me.
Fishy.
I nod, like understanding but not getting it at all. Like, yeah, this fish. Yeah, fish.
Like, just the pun is beyond you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I start eating another like sardine.
Well, the notice on the board directs you to find him at the Regular Donkey Tavern. So if that's your thing, then you can head that way. And if there's anything else you kind of want to do before I shift the camera a little bit to Ian.
I say, oh, let's go to our favorite spot, the Regular Donkey. It's so much more. It's so much more, for the people than the fancy mule. That place bites.
It's got a little kick to it.
It's a little danger.
That's a question for later. So Fox, describe sort of how you begin your day.
Well, I entered the city. Been hearing things about someone looking to hire adventurers and promises to find the lost lands, right?
Yeah, Lost Land of Sonottia, which I can type in chat.
Yeah, so
I'll go ahead and I think that if this is the rumor you've been pursuing, you actually kind of have narrowed it down to sort of an eccentric halfling that's been kind of traveling north. And you're more or less, you feel, hot on his tail. And you've kind of been traveling place to place and ended up here, sort of, based on your own powers of perception and investigation.
You make an investigation check.
Oh, totally.
Boom.
Did you make it in Fantasy Grounds? Well, there you go. Oh, yeah. With a 19, you make it into town, and you're like, your fingers on the pulse of the city. You hear whispers here and there, and it's like, who's this guy? Just like kind of strolling around, posting up weird, like completely sketchy job offerings in the middle of town. And you sort of like follow that. You find the poster. more or less outlining sort of like it's essentially like it would almost just read like a phishing email in some ways, but it's just so bold and out there and atypical for the goings on of the day that it kind of has a charm to it. It kind of has like it piques it would pique anyone's interest whether or not they were actually going to take up the offer or investigate further. So it's very clear to you. It stands out when you're looking through the job postings, which one you believe belongs to the person you've been searching for so far.
I have a very strong natural curiosity, so I'm all about just figuring out what this is about.
You am I hearing music because I'm crazy, or is someone playing it?
Did you open up that tab? The side tube tab?
Oh, I did open up the side tube.
I did throw that in there. Maybe you left it open.
Very cool. I did, and it's sort of playing, which I'm fine with. I don't care. I like it even. We're rolling with it. So yeah, no. So you also find direction to the. You also find the direction to the regular Donkey Inn. And when you get there, and when Thenry and Julia also get there, you kind of like you find yourself sort of on the edge of a small crowd. It seems like this inn is bustling past capacity. Go ahead and sort of like make perception checks if you want to.
Would you roll for me?
Yeah.
Starting this game off strong. Rolling a 5.
Oh, incredible!
That's the way to do it.
How about Thenry?
I'm working on it.
Oh,
Hey!
Yeah. Fox and Julia, you're kind of a little bit just kind of taken aback by all the hustle and bustle, and you're sort of like, people are kind of getting shoved around. You're kind of getting your bearings for a second, but Thenry, you catch a conversation where it's just like someone's walking through the front door, and you're kind of a couple rows back of people that are kind of moving and making space for the people coming in and out of the inn. But one of the guys is like, man, I didn't even want this job. This is bullshit. Like, he just like shooed me away. What kind of business is this guy trying? He's just like, kind of just ranting. But the general perception that you get from it is that this person sort of got turned down, and they're a little mad about it. And as that person is leaving the inn, kind of one of the members of the crowd edges their way in to the door behind him into the inn proper or whatever. And there's sort of like this tone or atmosphere. There's a bunch of people kind of like, there's just this sort of incredulousness to the people in the crowd, but also sort of like underneath that, just a tiny bit of like hope or like intrigue, like earnest, like interest in whatever's going on, sort of. So there's this complicated emotional energy to the crowd or whatever. But yeah, you basically gather that whatever's going on here, people are kind of like trying to get their way in, trying to get their way out, and it's sort of creating a little bit of congestion at the door.
That's why my perception was so bad. I'm 5'2". I can't see anything.
Beautiful.
I like to think our perception's really bad because like Fox walks in and we just make eye contact and we just stare at each other because we're like, what the fuck is that?
One of you is a Fox person, the other of
You
you
guys
is
not know, I am wearing a mask.
Oh, you're wearing a Fox mask. Okay.
Yeah.
So the crowd's really dense, right?
Yeah, it's pretty dense.
I tell Julia that we should try to get to the front and roll a 15 athletics to We've
You're
we've
like,
I'm really tall, so I just like make my way through.
go
Julia's
ahead.
like 6'9", 6'10".
Go ahead and roll like Finry did. Roll an athletics check,
Okay.
but with an advantage for this particular task, because, like you said, you have sort of a natural edge on getting your way through a crowd.
What was it?
Athletics.
Oh no.
Yeah, just with advantage is fine.
Okay. 12.
Did,
Hey, I see a visual of a D.
Did you roll with
Do you have-
advantage?
Oh, I did not do advantage. Let me roll again.
That's fine. Just roll a second time.
Okay.
Well, luckily 12 was enough. Both of you sort of like edge your way through the crowd, get to the door. People are a little taken aback, but you're both kind of very well. I'm sure you both actually even have a little bit of a reputation around here.
I
for
wave
various
my fish at people who give us the stink eye.
Incredible. People kind of are definitely giving you a little bit of the stink eye, especially because they kind of do know who you are. But then also they like are willing to just put up with it for that same reason. So you just kind of wag your fish at them. They're like, fucking fine. They kind of like look the other.
I definitely wag my fish, or just like if someone's really ornery about it, I just like give them a fish to like make them feel better.
Do you have a sack of fish with you?
I just went fishing this morning, and it's like a lot of small fish.
I see.
I mean, we're in the city. And
No,
it's like,
this works. No, I just wanted to know how many more fish I could expect.
however many can fit up my sleeve, and I'm probably running out at this point.
No,
I just
here's
have
what we're
a
gonna
bunch
do.
of pocket fish.
Here's what we're gonna do. You're gonna roll me 2d6, and that's how many fish you have left.
Okay. Oh, I need to roll it in the thing. Okay.
Yes, sure.
Sorry, I got used to the macros. I didn't have to roll it in there. Okay, I have 4 fish left, and my pet rat.
Oh, I forgot your pet rat. That's so precious. Okay, cool. So you have your pet rat. You does it just chill on your shoulder, or how do you kind of transport your pet rat? Does your pet rat have a name?
When it feels safe, probably on my shoulder. Right now, probably just in my robes, which could be like, just kind of in there, probably chewing on a fish.
Nice. That's actually kind of gnarly. Like imagining like a rat in your like cloak or whatever, just eating a fish you caught. Nasty.
Yeah,
Very terrific though. So
Julia's description is like wearing a robe, like a very druidic kind of like robe,
like a robe with maybe some furs here and there.
Yeah, there's a lot of vines. There's a lot of like ornate mushrooms.
Embroidered in, or like literally the vegetation is incorporated.
Yeah, with lots of like fish bone like ornaments around my neck and stuff, because that's like what I catch, what I eat, and there's like it's not uncommon to see vermin like crawling between the folds, like not just like my rat, probably just like, oh, there's like a millipede or like a water bug.
Finnery is smell blind.
You decided that Finnery is smell blind in response.
Completely smell blind.
Oh god, this is
Yeah, Julia doesn't smell that bad. Julia just smells like a lizard.
I don't know. There was a lot of
We've
No,
talked about this. That's like it'll get stinkier as we get
I
more
like
in circles of spore.
I like to think that you're so proficient at sort of like living in the elements that even though it's kind of nasty, like you also still know how to maintain a certain like strange level of hygiene that addresses it. Like
Yeah, like I shed, so like it's not like not bathing for. They're not. Julia's not as nasty as mammals who like don't bathe.
that's actually true, because you're a lizard. Like your clothes aren't gonna get like oily or anything or whatever. So as long as you're just like neat
They
and
have fish oil on them though.
they do have fish oil. I
Yeah.
leave that up to Gia's eating etiquette, and maybe Gia has some like fish eating gloves that they wear or something.
Hmm.
Anyhow, if you say you don't stink, you don't stink. You both sort of like edge your way in. I like to imagine that Gia is sort of kind of like doing that thing where you're carrying something sort of fragile or gentle, so you're kind of like poising your body to in the way that like there's a rat in your robes that you don't want to get squished, so there's sort of this invisible personal space bubble around that that you're sort of edging through like that, and then meanwhile Finri is just kind of waving fish at whoever wants to be in her way, and that's how you find yourselves on the inside of the inn, and it's sort of like the inn opens directly into a large kind of eating space like a restaurant. It's the breakfast half of the bed and breakfast, and it's not packed to the brim, but there's sort of like a crowd sort of gathered around one of the tables front and center. You can tell the wait staff are a little bit irritated as well. But you just kind of hear chattering around that table, and you can kind of hear not a super high voice, but you can tell it belongs to like a halfling or a gnome or somebody shorter, kind of just like quickly being like, nope, not you, next, not you, next, just kind of really dismissively while people are kind of protesting like, wait, what, you didn't even like look at me, like what is this, what's going on here? You just hear the kind of like weird crosstalk, like it sounds like people are like having several different arguments at once or whatever. Is there anything Fox does to kind of get on the inside of this crowd, or is Fox content waiting outside for now?
I cast a message at him and ask him if I pass.
Oh, interesting. Is this
Cantrip.
Message? Oh, message is a cantrip. It's like 25 words or something, right? Let me read message real quick. I need to know how he hears this. Well, that is...
You point your finger towards a creature within range and whisper a message. The target and only the target hears that message.
I need you to establish a line of sight to have seen him. I don't know if that's a description of the spell, but just for the sake of the scene.
Okay. I asked Julia, because they are very large and we made eye contact, if I can just get a boost real quick.
Nice. As Julia's kind of shouldering their way through the crowd, you kind of like, do you like what, tug out their robe real quick to get their attention? Gia, how do you?
I like look around a few times until like I look straight down, and I'm like, "Oh, you again."
I have a very like disarming voice. I'm just like, hey, you mind if I just like get a little look-see? You seem very tall.
I say, Gia's like, yeah, I am. That's good observation. You're really short, so seems pretty reasonable. And I point, and I'm like, I like your mask. That's a really good idea. I should have done that like a decade ago, 2 decades ago. And yeah, I just what's it called?
I give you a boost. I like put my hands up. So
Yeah. Not a piggyback ride. What am I thinking of?
like
You know what? A piggyback ride is fine. That's like enough to see over my shoulder.
If you want me to describe it differently, I could say you just like kind of picked him up with your like, he's like sitting like in your arm or something, like perched almost.
like a baby.
Yeah.
Like a baby.
Yeah, you can sit. Yeah. So you sit up. I like use my tail to like help put you in the right spot on my shoulder,
Tail shit.
and my little rat whose name I forgot will probably like come investigate you.
Little Raton.
Does your rat have a different name like every day?
It's like a different rat every day. Like I have rats in my cloak, but there's just one that comes out every day. I like that idea because I have a lot of nicknames. Because we went with Goliad for a while, but I forgot there was another nickname I liked a lot, but I can't remember it.
So
yeah, Go.
So okay. So Finri fish stolts her way through the crowd, kind of makes it in. Here's all the hustle and bustle. As Julia is edging their way through the crowd, Fox approaches and sort of tugs on their robe, and they have their exchange. And after Fox sort of climbs up to a better vantage point, they both kind of make their way into the inn where you all sort of see and hear these conversations. From where Julia's sitting, or for where Julia's standing and Fox by proxy, they kind of see on a table, more or less front and center, among like a bunch of different kind of assorted plates and food. There's a halfling dressed in dyed leathers, has somewhat of a gruff appearance, kind of has some like unshaved beard kind of going on, not like a full beard, but just scruff, and curly red hairs loosely kind of tied back, eating real messy, in the way where he's not a total slob, but he just kind of like not, yeah, he's kind of like just ravenously, you know. He's like eating chicken legs in a way that just kind of like, he has to wipe his face a lot, like his mouth and stuff, but he's not like making a huge mess all over the place. Just real socially off-putting. And yeah, you just see him kind of like eyeing people, being like, nope, next. People are sort of like baffled and like, what is this? Like, you know, just a lot of confused frustration. People walking away from the table, people who are walking up and sort of being like, hey, I'm like, what's the money like? What you said, riches? What's the pay? Because I, you know, just like talking themselves up. They're like, I'm the best bodyguard you'll find in this city. He's like, nope, next. And there's like, wait, what? But when Fox casts a message, he kind of like stops mid-bite and looks around. And you said what exactly? Hey, do I pass?
Yeah. He
He kind of stops mid-bite, and he kind of looks around. He eventually sees all three of you, because even in a regular sort of crowd situation, you would sort of stand out. But especially given kind of the boisterous nature that you're approaching the situation in, he kind of like hastens his process or whatever. He's like, "Shoo, next, no, don't care. You smell bad." You know, just kind of like coming up with stuff to get people out of the way. And he points at y'all and he asks you to come. Like, he's like, "Yeah, have a seat."
I sit down, and then I just. Ooh, am I good? Okay. I just put my fish on the table with this food. Just like.
You sneak it. You're rolling stealth. Okay, hold on. What does everybody else do in this situation?
I guess somebody said I had the like notice on my hand, so I guess we like took it down. So like I guess in the sake of seriousness of like, oh yeah, this is our job. So I took the notice and like I brought it to this guy, and I was like in front of him, and I was like, so when do we start? Like, what are the details?
Fox, do you contribute anything here, or are you just content being perched?
I ask him what he knows of Sonottia that makes him so certain he can find it.
He's like, "Hey, you guys are y'all are coming in hot with this stuff. Let's just take a minute, get to know each other. have some of this. He like kind of gestures to the way more food than obviously he could eat by himself, though it's not for lack of trying. You see, he's kind of made his way through several dishes, like picking at them, kind of trying them out or whatever, just kind of in a very impulsive, I guess maybe even hedonistic way.
Julia kind of like looks between Fenry and like the food, and like looks at the fish, and feels like embarrassed, and also puts like a fish on the table, thinking that like messed up the conversation by not offering a fish.
Do you sneak the fish, or do you just put the fish?
I just basically mimic what Fenry did, I guess.
Go ahead.
Not-
I guess
Roll it as a stealth check then too.
Okay. Okay, sorry. I'm not used to this program yet. I think first I should roll to see if I saw the fish. I did.
You certainly saw the fish.
I saw it, and I'm gonna assume like,
Like, yes, the custom of this land.
yeah, I do a real bad job.
You
I'm just offering the fish.
Finry comes up, kind of sneaks her fish onto the table in a mischievous manner. Mischievous? Whatever. Fox, I suppose, is still perched and still talking. Like, are you like talking from the shoulder, or did you kind of like hop down into the table?
It's whatever, you know.
Well, I just want to know what you would do.
I mean, if Julia's still gonna carry him, I'll stay up there.
You just chill there. Okay, so yes, this is the detail I created. Yeah, so Thenry sits down, Julia sits down, Fox is just chilling on Julia's shoulder. And Julia notices Thenry.
Down.
Huh?
If we're sitting down, I'll sit down.
Like, you take a spot on the bench.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, at the table. Okay, so you hop off the ride, situate yourself somewhere, however you would like. There's an entire kind of like bench on his side, Genrick's side, that is unfilled, and then there's you three on yours. And then Julia just like notices Theory put the fish up on the table and reaches in to their stack of fish and just slides it onto the table as if it were like a bribe. Like that kind of like shifty side glance while you're doing it kind of thing. And Genrick just like looks at it. He's like mid chewing, mid kind of like raucous sort of jovial laughter, kind of like take a seat, have whatever you like. Fish slides across the table and he just like stops and looks at it and looks at Julia and he's like, well, thank you.
Julia's like, sorry, I'm on video. I don't know if you noticed.
Oh, I didn't. I'm not looking at
We're
video.
all on
so-
video.
Yeah, we're all in here. Surprise.
Oh, I need my webcam. I don't have it yet.
That's okay, but I do eyebrows, and also, I guess so it's on the record. I mentioned it the other day. Julia has like chameleon eyes, kind of going on.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
So like sideways glances are kind of like awful. It's just like,
Especially strange
yeah.
from the community.
I don't think it would work, honestly. Not like they're not as frontal as other eyes. So it's just,
You do something that is difficult to describe, but that could only be interpreted as your take on a social cue you've observed in people with front eyes.
yeah.
You like do your best to sort of communicate what you see happen there, but it's just so foreign.
Yeah.
Of an experience that it totally just stops Genrick mid thought process. He's got like half of a chicken drumstick or whatever in his hand. He's just like, oh, thank you.
He's impressed.
Yeah, if you want to roll insight on that.
No, I don't.
You think he is at least a little impressed. So he's like, well, y'all are interesting. Are you sure you're up for a journey like this? You might not be back for a while. Fox, you notice that he sort of sidestepped your question, almost like intentionally, it feels.
What was your question?
What he knows about Sonottia.
Oh,
that makes
right.
him... I ask him how long.
Well, no one that I'm aware of has ever gone and made it back, so it's hard to guess. But I would infer by that it could be months, years.
You wouldn't
Yo.
know.
What?
Take a guess.
You want me to take a better guess? He's like, okay. I am prepared, at the very least, at this moment, to make a voyage that it could at least... It could be between half a month and a year before anyone returns. If we're successful. If we fail, maybe we just have to pack it up and come home. But I don't think that that's going to happen.
Oh.
He kind of has like a kind of look in his eye, sort of like a mischievous confidence. But he doesn't elaborate unprompted.
I rolled perception to see if I could read more into it.
Insight its own skill now, or does it?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead and roll insight.
No.
Womp womp.
Ugh.
Well, you don't get the sense that he's pulling a fast one, but you don't really understand what his confidence implies. Only that he seems to you to be genuinely confident. Does anybody else want to give that a shot? Based on your 3. Fox notices that as he's sort of gloating over, I'm different. He kind of absent-mindedly even sort of runs his hand across a pocket on one of his pant legs that you notice looks like it probably has something in it. But again, it seemed like a nervous tick even, or not maybe not even nervous tick, just sort of he wasn't implying anything directly, just sort of that his body language altered and you noticed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Says, look, I mean, I can see if I can maybe lend y'all some confidence, but as you can see, I've got money to spend. I can absolutely pay you, and if we make it to Sonottia, the success alone will make you famous across the lands. But in a lost land like that, whatever treasure you find, it's yours to keep. Because there's bound to be no shortage of wondrous things and relics from a bygone era.
I ask him what he's hoping to find.
He says, we can discuss that when less people are around.
Are people like standing around listening to this conversation?
Yeah, there are people kind of like you can hear tables kind of like eavesdropping, just kind of tilting their head a little bit toward the conversation, just trying to hear. There's also still a bunch of people this whole time throughout the entirety of the conversation, just everyone that he didn't even give the time of day, sort of like just being like, yeah, just like resenting very loudly that he was a dick, but that these random like these are just, who are these? They're like lizards and stuff. Like what's they got that I don't got? Like that kind of thing. You just hear a lot of like discontented, rabble rousing type stuff. But whenever they get a little too rowdy, Garrick sort of like snaps his fingers rudely at the wait staff and kind of like points to them, and they sort of like eye roll and kind of like back the crowd up and give the table space, and like, yeah, we need you to leave our patrons alone, please. You just hear that kind of sort of begrudging social situation play out on the like not 5 feet away from you, you know, but there's still sort of like a hubbub around this social interaction. He says, "What do you need from me to be what do I gotta give you? Like what do you need to come with me out of town tomorrow morning?"
I kind of lean into to Fenry, and I kind of ask like a sidebar, not much quieter, but I'm just like, remind me, how long do mammalian humanoids remember? Particularly the authorities here. Like, how long will they recognize me, or how long will it take for them to forget a crime?
If you were trying to skip town and lay low for a while, how long would you maybe want to do that? Is that the angle you're getting at?
Yeah, but he doesn't have to know all that. I'm just like, how long does it take for the authorities to forget about
Me.
someone?
Hypothetical.
What's human memory like
Uh,
on a scale of a
really
goldfish?
like bad, but those are the people who I was like, they'll probably take more note than the average human.
Oh, okay.
Not great, but
I turn to the what's his name again?
Genrick.
To Genrick, and I'm like, and I say a year is a good start.
He seems really pleased. He kind of like grins this enormous sort of toothy halfling grin, and you can see he's got a gold tooth sort of in the back there, in the way that makes him seem like a pirate and not like a
like a club owner.
Yeah. 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 Well, I mean, he's got a little bit of that energy in there too, but
Adam Sandler, Uncut Gems vibes.
Sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
There's a little bit of grease to this guy, like spiritually speaking.
Is he kind of shiny? Like, is his skin just oily?
Yeah, so he's got sort of like red hair, but he's like fiery red, and it's a little curly even, but yeah, you can tell he's been out in the sun a lot. He has sort of like a light tan to him. He seems like he's been on the road for a while. It literally seems like he traveled into town, sat down at this table, ordered a ton of food, and then just like got to hand waving people away. You know, like this has been his whole day, and he has not stopped to shower, for example.
Sick. Just how I like him.
Just a little bit of grease. You do notice that, yeah, like he has the visual markings of wealth, but he also seems like he has had his day sort of in the sun too. Like that's not the right expression. That implies like his time has passed. He No, like he does not seem like he is averse to hard work. You know what I mean? He doesn't seem like too posh to understand like labor or whatever. He looks kind of rough. But he's he still has wealth. He's like wearing fancy rings and jewelry and stuff. It's kind of gaudy, but he has nice leathers on, but you notice that they are also sort of padded, like, you know, he's prepared to journey, and he's been journeying alone so far. So you can maybe infer some things about his character up to that point, but
nice. I asked him where and when he would like to meet to discuss further, since we're in such great company right now.
it's like, well, if you meet me, I'll be leaving town tomorrow at the crack of dawn. I will get a message to you, so that, you know, people don't just show up there too, and we can get out of here. Unless, of course, you meant. Oh, did you meant? He's like, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. You mean to talk more about the nature of the job?
No.
No, you're ready to get out.
You answered my question, but then I look at Fox and Julia to see if they want more information, or if I'm preemptively jumping the gun.
You're like, this works. I'm out. Walk over to the group. Y'all have any objections? Is there anything Fox wants?
I cast another message at him. Asking him to just tell me just a tiny piece of what makes him so sure that it's real, and if it seems genuine, then I'm in.
Okay.
Response can only be heard by me.
He says, okay, I can PM this then.
That kitty looks like Gretchen. Oh, I want to go get Gretchen.
How do I figure out how do whispers work? Does anybody know how to whisper?
I know how to make a kitty meow.
Just go.
Did anybody else see me type in chat in the Fantasy Grounds chat?
No.
I mean, Kelty can, but that's fine.
That's fine. For the purpose of this, then.
Yeah.
Kelty don't be weird. Well, he responds to you.
That's such a high fidelity meow.
A
I'm getting good.
little squeeze gets a meow out. This is just one of them. I've got two. They're sisters, and their names are Vashti and Bunyan.
I found out today that one of my roommates has a cat, and I haven't known for like almost a month. Like, that cat hasn't left that room this entire time.
These cats don't leave my room.
Yeah. There are 3 other dogs in this house, so.
Oh, hello.
What does that say? Oh.
Oh, wait. Why does Matt see it? Oh no.
Wait, what?
Oh well.
It says common.
No,
It says common.
I accidentally clicked on it and dragged it, so it like reposted it. But no, just the does this work part, right?
I saw the does this work.
Okay, yeah. You don't need to click on the next thing, but hopefully that next message remains quiet. But Tubabu Night Got. Oh my god, y'all are just dragging the chat. Okay, yeah, he sends you a message. He, this time very consciously, you see his hand go to the same pocket that you noticed it reflexively go to. It almost seems like he was sort of checking to make sure he wasn't getting pickpocketed or something at the time, but this time he sort of, the message you hear in your in response to your spell. He sort of pats the compartment on his leather trousers, armor, whatever.
Balloons.
And
Oh,
gives you pantaloons, and gives you sort of a knowing grin with a raised eyebrow.
Yeah, my character can't resist the intrigue, so.
Okay. He says, "All right, so we're good. Eat your hearts out. I'm gonna go take a bath." And he like kind of just grabs a bunch of different random stuff and takes like big bites out of all of it without like finishing any of it, and just kind of like haphazardly throws it the rest back down, and like grabs a fistful of like some sort of bread on his way off the table. You know, that kind of thing, like just nasty eating, finger food eating. And he hops on into the hallway past the dining area and strolls onto his room. And he kind of like, he picks up his room key and all that shit. He heads back.
Julia, after the hiring, the boss, I guess, the person hiring us, walks away finally, cannot contain themselves, and they just start fucking devouring some of the food.
It's like nice food. Like he clearly paid for like the best, and you get the impression that he just like walked in and was just like, "I'll take one of everything. Like just order me the menu or whatever." Yeah. And then you see different plates.
Just like stick your tongue out. Do you use your claws, or do you like stick your tongue out and?
Oh, I don't think I have
chameleon tongue.
Chameleon tongue. That'd be fucking awesome. That's entering like bullywug territory.
Yeah, it's more of a reptilian.
Yeah, no, I have a long tongue, but like it's more like I just pick things up with my claws and I just like shovel it into my mouth. I'll probably just take a whole haunch and just like lizard swallow it, like just like throw it back up and just like swallow the whole thing whole. And I stop for a second. I'm like, "I'm sorry. Did you all want some?"
Excuse me.
Okay.
I tell you to never apologize for being yourself.
Aw.
Aw.
Thank you. I also agree.
The innkeeper kind of comes out from behind the bar because the crowd is still lingering around your table. You kind of notice that some more the disgruntled, burly looking like meatheads that were looking to get the job looking kind of pissed, and they like kind of like try and like reach in and grab some food every once in a while. Do y'all do anything about that?
No.
No.
Y'all just let everybody have like whatever they want to take.
I started throwing it into the crowd.
Did he leave a tip before he left?
You get the impression that he's not paying his bill at the table. He's like got an open tab kind of situation going on.
I leave a tip before we go.
How much gold do you have? Do you
10.
know? How much do you leave?
10.
You leave all your gold?
No.
I mean, you'll want to make sure that it gets to the waitress's hands because that's a lot.
No, yeah, I never know how to, because there's like the.
I think like a mug of ale is like 2 silver or something.
Oh man, I can't accept tips over 2 gold.
Gold is like a month's wages, I want to say, like 1.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'll.
Is that about right? Does anybody, can anyone corroborate?
That's what I say sarcastically whenever we have to get into the economy of D&D. I usually refer to the manual and I'm like, well, it says 1 gold plays for a peasant's month's salary, like whatever that means.
Sure.
Even though it's so arbitrarily handed out and easily found, it's so weird.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll go with that, at least for the perception of the crowd. Like, if you were to leave 10 gold on the table, like, people would fight for
Long,
that.
long
On the
story
way out,
short,
on the way out, I hand the waitress like 3 gold pieces.
Oh, she sees you. You say you have a reputation. You're like a folk hero around here, right?
Yeah.
She takes the gold. She looks like in total disbelief. She looks up at you. She kind of sees like your face and your like vaguely ethereal features, and she like instantly recognizes. She's like, oh my god, thank you so much. She just kind of starts stammering. She's a little bit speechless. She doesn't know how to gracefully accept this much money.
Yeah. I do
Yeah.
finger guns, and I'm just like, yeah.
You kind of definitely sort of like awed this person with this tip, and just kind of, I guess, exit the scene at your leisure.
Yeah.
Yeah, the you can tell that the innkeeper and all that is like a little exasperated at the way just everything is a little bit like messy and chaotic, especially because y'all are handing all the food out and everyone kind of comes in and just like starts going nuts. They're like, well, I mean, free meal at least. Like, how magic can you be? Like, type of thing. They're all just like going nuts on it. Some of them you can tell almost even out of spite. They're like, yeah, I'll eat this guy's food. Like, what a dick. Like, it's on his dime. Might as well make it worth my while, type of thing.
I'll use my tall stature and long, slender arms to pass a bunch of shit out.
People like that, especially
Like
kind of
drums.
like especially kind of the less cutthroat, burly people or whatever, that didn't shove their way to the front. You kind of like, I would assume you sort of prioritize the people that you notice seem hungrier.
Yes, in my studies, I found that humanoids love booze and food. I just think that lizards don't metabolize like alcohol.
Like
It
cold
doesn't work
blooded.
on me, or it like immediately gets me sloshed. It's one or the other. I haven't decided.
We can cross that bridge whenever you feel comfortable coming to it.
Yeah.
Totally. Is there anything else y'all kind of want to do with this scene, or are we sort of done with for the day? Anything you want to follow up on? Or
Somebody stab somebody.
I take a little bit of cheese and I feed it to my rat,
Oh.
Nice.
and that's all I need.
Everyone else is sort of satisfied by this strange employer offering strange rewards, and at least willing to see it up to the point of satisfying your curiosity.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, with that, he told you where to meet up with him. In the night. Then you're not from around here. Where do you stay for the night? Or no, sorry, not Henry. Fox. Fox isn't from around here.
I was like, wait.
Where do I stay?
Mm-hmm.
I go around and find an inn that's willing to let me dance for my my supper and my.
Describe the dance.
You need seconds for after all the free food.
Well, that's my my main style of like performance is like dance and like acting. Like I like tell stories and dance.
Oh, cool. Okay,
Yeah.
that's neat. You find
Remember
you
to
find
dance.
you find a tavern that's willing to put you up for the night on this space. It's called the Lyrical Rose, and they have like a dedicated sort of like bard stage or whatever. Like, oh, we need an act tonight anyway, so they're like, sure. Are you rolling it?
Yeah,
I
I was
think
gonna
you
roll
drank all of
my performance.
Where's it?
You have to throw it into the chat box.
I did, or trying to.
Got bad aim. Oh, there we go.
Oh.
Oh.
You You do a
It was a 9.
poor job.
You do okay. You're distracted. It's not the worst thing anyone's ever seen. You don't really feel as though you sort of captured any
I'm about
hearts.
to leave. I'm about to leave this town for a while, so it's like it's not that important.
You're doing it. You're doing it for the bed, and everyone can kind of tell, but everyone gets it, so no one boos you. They're courteous claps, and a couple people are listening, especially if they seem a little sloshed and don't have anyone they're talking to. You do okay. It's not your finest of work.
Important thing is that you got exposure.
Yeah.
Remember the name. What? And then you leave.
When you do a bad performance, do you say you're right? Do you give a bard's name that you don't like?
Hell yeah.
I feel like you definitely would as a.
I haven't. No, I definitely have like a performance name that I have not settled on yet. That I need to make sure they figure out. I also have like a fake identity from my charlatan background.
Should call yourself Gimli.
Dude, would you say gimbal?
Oh yeah, that's what I meant.
Oh my
I
god.
said Gimli, but I meant.
Be like, if you perform bad, it's like, my name's Gimbal. Like walk away.
Oh my god. Well, y'all all go do your thing. At the crack of dawn, you all, wherever you're staying, I can't remember where Thinry said she's stead, but Julia, you're in the sewers, and right, you sleep in the sewers, Julia?
Oh, are you asking me if I sleep in the sewers?
Yes. You have like a hovel or something somewhere. I just wherever you post up.
It's like somewhere between like where the sewers like led out to like open body of water or whatever.
I hear that. Okay, yeah. So somewhere kind of where the aqueducts meet the water.
Yeah, where nature meets the nasty part of the city.
Gotcha. Well, a confused looking sort of like scruffy person you might just see in the marketplace. They don't look super duper poor, but they look kind of like hurting for cash enough that they decided to take this errand. They like stumble into your little hovel and they're like, Julia? Is that right? Are you Julia?
Yes.
And he just hands you a letter, and he's just like, have a good one, and he just kind of like walks away. He looks like he's kind of been wandering the tunnels, whatever, for a little while, like very confused. Something similar happens with Fox and Thinry as well. Just wherever you stay, crack it like before the sun's up. It's not even the crack of dawn yet. You get kind of like a small but sort of stately looking letter with like a wax seal on it or whatever, and when you open it up, it's just like, hey, meet me at the south gate at the stables at the first light, and we'll get it going. It's just kind of signed GL HF.
Nice.
GL.
Yeah. His name was Genrick.
Right.
Laughing Bone. Yeah.
I grab my cartographer's tools and put on the leather armor I have in the closet at the. I'm assuming I just kind of have board wherever I work most.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
when you're getting up sort of like in anticipation, you're like, well, I mean, I still don't know where I'm supposed to go. Whoever kind of maintains your boarding house is kind of like, hey, Thinry, we got a letter.
Yeah.
For you. Kind of odd. Are you expecting something?
It's like, yeah. Thanks.
Cool.
Are they like Oh, they like. We know you don't like to read. What's going on?
Yeah.
So you all get your letters and to meet Genrick at the stables, and so you can kind of like make whatever farewell preparations you'd like, but you also know you're sort of in a hurry.
Hey, real quick, because I just found a tab that says log in this app, and I wanted to write two things down. Homie's name is Genrick Laughing-Bone.
Mm-hmm.
Genrick, okay. And the place is the Lost Lands of what?
Sonottia, which I'm finishing up the player resource document, which I can also drop in the logs, but it's spelled
Okay.
Sonottia.
I butchered that. Okay. Cool. Okay, that's just what I needed.
And yeah, there you go. I use the log tab liberally. Whatever information y'all want to
Where's
mark
the
down.
log tab? I see the story and like notes.
It's in the character sheet.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah. Right now I'm putting like relationships in my notes section, and I'm just gonna
Very
like
cool.
write important things that are easy to forget, like names and places.
Also,
Use that stuff as much or little as you want, because I can see that too, and that will help me sort
Also-
of like take note of what y'all are interested in.
Also, if we use the notes tab on like the right side, I think that's like a whole shared notes thing, I believe.
Oh shit.
Nice. Yeah, there's all sorts of functionality like that. So
Where?
Gretchen.
And you can, yeah, you're able to like make a note and then toggle it as public. And then it'll add it to that note list.
okay. So can I safely fast forward to the stables, or is anything y'all want to kind of like do before you head out of town?
I'm good.
Oh yeah, I'm good.
I'm good with fast forwarding.
Cool. So y'all you get your letters, you read the meeting location, and you pretty much decide that like whatever business you had in town for now is finished enough for your sake, and you get ready to pack your bags, and you get all your gear together the previous night, and you pick it all up, and you head to the stables, where you find Genrick hungover as all hell, kind of like trying to sort of get his horses tied to his wagon. He's got two of them. And he's like, "Oh God, thank God. Can y'all give me a hand with this?" And he kind of looks up, and he like squints at all of you, and he's like, "Is this all of you? Weren't there more?"
I think so. I look around for a short person and a shorter person.
You're all there.
Okay.
All three of you. He's just like, again, hungover, very confused.
So,
But you're like,
double.
"Yeah, this is us." And he's sort of just like, "Really? You sure?" Whatever. Yeah, just get the horses on the thing. Any of you drive one of these?
Oh, I can.
Cool. And he jumps in the wagon, and he just kind of like,
Yeah, full hero efficiency.
yeah, he kind of jumps in the wagon. He's like, "Try not to go too nuts. We're headed north." And so you guys kind of all get your stuff together. And as you're finishing, unless there's something you want to specifically do, feel free to interrupt me. As you're sort of finishing your preparations and getting ready to head out, someone enters the stables. Kind of, he's wearing heavy armor and has a large sword draped across his back. And he's wearing a cloak, and he sort of like looks like maybe he's been riding all night. And that would be Adib. So,
Okay.
So you kind of come across this scene and sort of like it's like the horse version of like two people crossing in a hallway and they both kind of like try and get out of each other's way or whatever, and it doesn't super work.
Okay. Hey, are you guys headed out of town by chance?
Yeah.
You're like immediately like, oh, cool, a group that's leaving.
You guys got killed. Oh?
Oh yeah, you're back, Adib. You dropped for a second.
So yeah, are you guys headed out of town? I'm looking to get out myself. Would appreciate the company.
I love the idea. I like to think that your character is sort of like looking over their shoulder a little bit, like strolled up to town immediately. It's like, y'all leaving? Checking behind you a little bit.
Wait, you just got here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. We have the same idea. Didn't you just get here?
I'm just passing through.
Hearing this conversation sort of take place, Genrick kind of stirs a little bit from in the back. He's like, I knew there were more of you. Hey, new you guy, big guy, you're coming with us,
What?
right?
Yeah.
A halfling kind of begins shouting very clearly drunken direction at you from the back of this wagon. Seems to be convinced that you know each other, and is sort of just like addressing you as if he had some sort of like authority here over you and rapport with you, but he's pretty much kind of saying like, hey, let's get this show on the road. Get out of here. Let's get out of here.
Ask if he's paying me.
It's like, yeah, I'm paying you. We
tell him
talked about.
I'll cut.
You tell him what?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm
No,
in.
what were you gonna say? What were you gonna say?
I was gonna. I don't know how it worked out, but he's paying me now.
Yeah,
To
you're
come
like,
along.
are you paying me? He's like, yeah, of course I'm paying you. I told you yesterday. We'll talk about it. Like, what? I want to get going and keep it down a little bit. Make sure we don't get raided. I'm taking a nap. I feel like shit. And he just kind of like lays down in the back and leaves the rest of the prep work to you. He
Can I
tells you,
roll perception on their reaction?
can you deal what?
Can I roll? Oh, is that inside again? Never mind.
Mm-hmm.
You
No,
only-
you can roll inside if you want.
No, I'm not proficient in insight.
That doesn't mean you can't do it.
Yeah, just
You're
means
right.
you're not well at it. You do passively. What are you trying to glean here?
I don't know. Just because they seem to know each other, right? And like are obviously talking about plans that we hadn't been looped in on.
With that insight check, you aren't super sure they do know each other.
Fair enough.
No, I'm not saying that is in that you can't tell. I'm saying you get the suspicion they don't.
Oh, okay.
Like, this seems like kind of slapdash. That like both of them sort of are like rolling with it. Like that's the impression you get from that insight check. You think that perhaps Genrick is very drunk, and that perhaps whoever this is that just strolled in looks like they can take care of themselves. Decked out, big sword, has a horse. Right? You have a horse, right, dude? Yeah.
A horse.
They seem equipped to go on a journey. Past that, it seems weirdly coincidental and like definitely not like this mysterious person very much kind of seems like they're like not looking a gift horse in the mouth, and that your employer is too drunk to know necessarily what just happened.
I asked what your horse's name is. And your name.
In your name.
But I asked the horse's name first.
Just,
I like to imagine that.
I haven't named my horse.
I like to imagine that that's a character hesitating. Also.
You're like, oh, what is
That's in character. Like, I haven't named my horse.
but I love it very much. How do you answer, Matt?
I haven't named my horse.
Beautiful.
In character.
Have you named yourself?
Yes, I have.
You name yourself? That's rough.
How do you describe sort of your appearance or whatever?
Okay, I'm wearing black cloak, a black cloak over chainmail. Looks like I'm a half elf under there. I've got scars on my face and scars on my arms, as far as you guys can see.
It's kind of like peeking out from under the cloak a little bit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The horse looks completely spotless. I think I'm gonna name the horse Patricia.
What's your horse's name? I think I'm gonna name the horse Patricia. Love it.
Oh, the Patty for short.
That's up to you.
And then if you
She's
hook the horse up to a wagon, paddy wagon.
When it poops, they're patty cake.
Oh my
You
god.
pat them.
Oh god.
You name Patty
I'm
'cause it
offended. I frown. My character frowns.
Oh my gosh. That's incredible.
Did you tell us your name?
Oh yeah, I'm Matt. I'm just a traveler looking to get out of here, like the rest of you.
I tell Fox he should write a bard song about this Matt person on Patty the horse.
You get the sense that perhaps Matt is leaving a little more urgently than the rest of you. But that said, you get your stuff all figured out. You all introduce each other to each other.
Oh yeah. I'm like, hey, I'm Julia. This is my rat Blue. And I pull out a little gray, I guess blue rat. Not like actually blue. You know, it's a fantasy world. Fuck it, it's blue. And some blue cheese that I yoinked yesterday.
Wow. I reach out my hand and see if it jumps into my hand.
Oh, they're pretty social. I
Like
like it.
I try petting the rat. What's it called?
Was that
You call
animal?
it blue?
Yeah, blue like
Did you name the
cheese.
rat?
like cheese.
Oh.
Oh,
A blue rat.
I'm amused. I love this rat. I'll take some food from my pouch and feed it.
Is there any does Fox sort of just lay low or introduce themselves socially or anything?
I definitely introduced myself. And
How tall is Matt? I'm sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt.
Matt's a shorty. He's on his horse right now.
Cool. But Fox,
You know what?
Fox does what?
Fox-
Introduces himself. Now, himself. Pronouns.
yeah, and it was just in a very friendly way. It's just like, you seem like you have a story. I'd love to hear it at some point on the road.
Is Matt sort
Well,
of like?
friend,
Okay, cool.
we've all got stories to tell. I'm gonna have to get to know you a bit first.
I'm sure that we'll become great friends.
Are you wearing your mask still?
Yeah, I like always wear it. None of you have seen my face.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm not like Fox. I don't really trust a guy in a mask, honestly. I feel like I never know what they're feeling.
I say that's understandable, but I simply am a performer, and mystique is just a part of the game I play to garner interest. I assure you, I'm not hiding anything.
Who dropped this into chat? I watch over
I-
my friends as if they were little.
I didn't mean to put it out there, but I'm just rolling for like my different
Oh,
background traits just to see what they are.
nice. Nice, very cool.
I love it. I love how
Um,
much this whole scene is about pets. And
I know. Does
Bonding
Blue
over
have his
animals.
head? Patricia's
Wait.
head?
Sorry, go ahead. Go again.
Oh, because Matt fed Patricia some snacks, or fed Blue some snacks. I was wondering if Blue jumped on Patricia's head and was like ridden on the horse.
Oh, absolutely. I offer a fish to the
Hell
horse,
yeah.
but I don't think it likes it.
Roll animal handling.
Oh shit! It's time. My time to shine. Uh, fish for your troubles. 12. All right.
You finesse this sort of offering a fish to the horse in a way that a lesser stable master would not have been able to get the fish so close. You can tell the horse is a little wary of it, but you conduct yourself in a way that it's willing to trust you enough to kind of like smell it. Doesn't seem to be super duper into it though.
I say, haha, I'm just kidding. And then I give the fish to Matt, and I feed the horse like some mushrooms that it would like.
It appreciates that.
I hand
All-
him a carrot. and I'm
Thank
just
you
like,
for the
next time.
fish.
Already Ginrick is sort of like loudly snoring in the back, and you all sort of if you don't know each other very well, you at least it seems have kind of established a sort of social equilibrium here that you're all comfortable with, and you make preparations to get on the road. There are 2 seats up front, one of which is for the person driving the stable. The other is just kind of like either a passenger or just somebody who wants to help drive. And then other than that, there is the covered wagon in the back.
Who wants shotgun?
Fox, do you want shotgun? Or do you want to just chill in the wagon? I'm cool either way. Wait, do I fit in the wagon?
you you're what, 6'9" or something?
6'10" is on the record.
Goodness gracious. Okay, so you yeah, you have to sort of you have to kind of accommodate the ceiling of the wagon for sure, but it's not the worst. You can kind of lounge. You can kind of like spread out if there's enough if there's not too many people in the back, and sort of like give your back a little bit of like horizontal space, you know. But
Okay.
yeah, you're
You
right.
described it so well.
Sitting straight up, probably too tall for the covered wagon. Yeah.
Okay, I hop in there.
Cool. I assume if y'all care enough to describe how you ride in the wagon, go for it. Otherwise, you get out of town and you take the north road.
We get a world map.
Not quite yet, but nearing the end of the day of travel, Ginrick kind of like wakes up time to time. You're like, where are we at? And you sort of, using your navigational skills and familiarity with the area, you all kind of keep him roughly informed, and he takes that. He just kind of thumbs up and goes back to bed. Like, clearly, like riding this one out. He's taking the day off. But near the end of the day, as the sun's going down, where travelers might normally start to break camp or whatever, he wakes up and he's like, "Where are we? What time is it?" Hello? Hey, wait, where am
I don't know what to tell him. It's
I?
sundial
It's
time.
6:45. Someone tells him. He looks out the back. See, he hears you. You tell him it's 6:45, and he like kind of hasn't fully opened his eyes yet. Kind of like shakes his head a little. He looks out the back of the thing, sees the sun setting. Kind of looks around a little bit. Seems sort of familiar with the area. Takes out some of his notes. He seems very kind of protective of whatever he's kind of looking through. He's looking for something. Seems to find it. Closes it all up. He's like, "Okay, let's drive on through for a few more hours before we start breaking camp." And after a while, it is pretty squarely nighttime. You come across a small village that is just about a full day's travel out of the main town. That's kind of nested. I guess both work. Into the forest, kind of to the east side of the road. And as you kind of pass through, the kind of it kind of looks like a little farming village, I guess, agricultural community. Out here, and they sort of notice, and like the kids get excited or whatever, they see you and sort of kind of like run around and stuff, because they don't see a ton of travel around here that isn't scheduled. But this is Azaram. You are kind of like standing near the road, near enough to see these travelers pass by.
I think I'm the only one who's not in the covered wagon besides.
Yeah,
Matt
for
on
people
No,
for the podcast, I
that's it.
raised a palm up in greeting to the wagon.
That said, go ahead and roll me a perception check, Azaram. You did so not great. You notice something about the girl driving the wagon strikes something in your memory. You can't quite place it. In fact, the harder you think about it, the more distant the sort of feeling of deja vu gets. But you can't help but shake the visual recognition at the basest level. You feel like you should have noticed something. Like you feel like that you did, even on a subconscious level, but you can't figure it out.
My hat was in my way.
From the back of the cart, even to the people in the cart, Genrik's like, "Are we there yet? Are we at the village yet? We should stop in the village for the night. Where are we in the village?" He just kind of is stammering his way through this idea, like not looking, trusting that like enough time has passed, just kind of like impatiently barking vague orders.
I'll walk up to the wagon.
Certainly. You kind of find a wagon filled with just kind of, I don't know, a peculiar assortment of people. You've got fairly normal looking person, if not striking, driving the wagon. Humanoid, but there's something distinctly otherworldly about their appearance that's hard to place.
I push
And
my
then,
hood back a little bit so you can see my face better and introduce myself.
yeah, so Ginrick waves he tells you to slow down if we're in the village. Hope we're at the village. He doesn't even mention the village by name. But Finry, it occurs to you that this village is also striking your memory in a certain way that's distant and hard to place.
And I was gonna walk up to the wagon and say, "Welcome, traveler, to our nameless agricultural village.
You can name it right now if you'd like.
We have no need for names for our village."
Very good. You kind of peer in to the wagon and see a very tall lizard folk kind of sprawling out in the back, playing with a rat, I presume. An extremely inebriated halfling and fancy kind of a lot of jewelry, but also just kind of like designer leather armor.
How is he still drunk? Has he
I
been drinking?
He just had an IV back there.
roll perception.
Oh shit. 12.
Throughout this thought occurs to you, and throughout the day, you recall various mumblings when he was kind of up, and just like hearing him take a swig from a skin. You had assumed it was perhaps water, but every once in a while you would catch a bit of him mumbling, just like, hair of the dog.
He is constantly hair of the dogging himself all day.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
But yeah, I walk up.
Something very strange about this guy, and you know, very short, but right next to this, a very short person wearing a fox mask, just kind of chilling. Very, very, what's it, motley crew.
Yeah, and I walk up, and I'm this tall. I'm almost 6 foot. I have this alien yellow-green skin and these long pointed ears, not completely unlike an elf's. And I've got this very long, kind of Fu Manchu style mustache, and then a long goatee as well. I keep my hair back in a braid that starts like sort of the top of my head, where the rest of it is shaved. Little bits of leather armor around here and there. And I walk up and just to check out. We don't get many travelers. Our village. So I was just curious. So I walk up, see all of these strange folk, but all folk are strange to me, so it's not too strange. Hello. And had this guy already posted a notice in this town, or is that...
No, this is his first foray into the town. You have no clue what this caravan is sort of about. If what's your passive investigation?
10 plus. Oh, I'm proficient investigation. I'm +3. +3.
So like a 14, maybe 15.
No, it's 13. 10 plus.
Oh,
3.
okay, so it's 10 plus proficiency. Okay, cool.
10
So
plus
passive
the
for
stat.
13. You had heard rumors that there was like a strange group kind of coming up the road, just because they're like someone running errands in town. The yesterday kind of like came back and you heard talk.
Oh, I'm
around
sorry, I'm
town.
getting
It's
a
like,
phone
there's
call real
sort
quick.
of-
I'm sorry.
What's up?
I'm getting a phone call from my mom.
Okay. he's drunk
Sorry.
and seems pretty buffoonish. On the other hand, he has like an air of confidence and even competence, and you aren't sure exactly where all that lies. So it's like very very difficult to gauge without you rolling perhaps
back.
insight. Okay, cool. I'll get back in a second.
I got flat at the end.
My mom was
And
like,
you notice here might be an advantage, but this is just a flat insight roll.
Yeah.
for me? For whom?
No, Fox was asking how easy he thought maybe it would be to pickpocket and look at the map. With your insight check, you feel pretty definitively that there is more to Genrick than meets the eye. There is a certain level of buffoonishness, but you can tell that like he is not quite so naive or incompetent as kind of his slovenly behavior might lead some to believe. So you think that if you were to attempt to pickpocket him, he's kind of been around the block, so he may or may not be prepared for that kind of trickery or whatever, you know.
Okay. I kind of.
He's not a hapless mark. He might still
Yeah.
be someone that you could mark. However,
It would seem like I could get away with like just laying a hand on him for 11 minutes to ritual cast identify.
that's so funny. If you want to roll a sleight of hand check to like represent Fox sort of like trying at various intervals to see what he can get away with while he's asleep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, ooh, nice.
Wow. Okay.
You absolutely feel as though you kind of like through the course of the day, you work your way up. You introduce sort of like light accidental brushes, and then kind of escalate slowly to the point where you're just like in a resting position where conceivably, you know, your hand is just kind of like on his arm or his shoulder or wherever you're trying to place your hand, but
Yeah.
like in his
I'm very
drunken
friendly.
sleep, he's not registering that as abnormal.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want me to read identify?
Read identify for sure.
Okay. So if you instead, so it's usually for objects and learning if they're like magical and all that stuff. But it says if you instead touch a creature, you learn what spells, if any, are currently affecting it.
Interesting. Yes. Let me let me look at this character sheet really fast. You
you're a gaius.
What was that?
Gaius is like a quest. It used to be called Gaius Quest. We used to joke about it all the time.
Oh.
You like,
You know.
you're compelled to do a specific act, and if you don't do it, you take a bunch of psychic damage every day.
Yep. It's not nice. It is a big boy command. It's mind control without like the control. It's like it's mind compulsion.
Yeah, well, like
Instead
they
of
still
mind-
have complete control. It fucking hurts if you don't do what you need to do.
I have no idea where I put this book. You man, I just need to look at a spell list really quick, and I'll tell you exactly what's on it. I thought I had this written down.
Mage
but I don't.
armor, protection from evil, non-detect.
No mage armor. However,
I've never seen anyone use identify for that part of it. Neat.
yeah, me either.
I just like
I wasn't ready for it, clearly.
because he just wants to know what things are. So it's like, and it's a ritual, so you can do it.
And I just love this image of you like during night when he's sleeping, just slowly inching your hand towards him. Like you think it's
Yeah.
about to be like some sort of like weird, romance scene, but then you just start casting your spell.
I mean, Fox has like a very friendly disposition. Like he's very disarming.
Like, oh yeah, I guess we can hold hands. That's fine.
Yeah. Like, oh, hello.
I think I simply active on him. Okay, this is what I needed to read. I need to see if this counts. You definitely notice that he has I don't know if technically Identify would notice this based on how the spell works or not, but I'll just tell you this is what you find out. For one thing, you notice that there is an alarm spell active on his person. You also notice that he has a familiar. He's bonded with a familiar. What's your passive perception?
I think it's like 11. Yeah.
Okay. With a passive perception, you notice he's bonded with a familiar. You notice the alarm spell attuned to his person, and you kind of you said 11 on perception. You notice that you've been hearing a certain specific bird call periodically throughout the day. And you suspect that that now that you know that it's probably his familiar.
Gotcha.
And that's what you find.
Who are we talking about?
Ginrick.
Oh.
He's passed out, but Fox did some identify on.
And this was like before y'all rolled up to the village. Right?
Yeah, this is like through the day. And now returning to you can think on what you want to do with this information while we resolve the scene with Azaram. However you would like me to pronounce that, just correct me. Yeah. So you come up, you introduce yourself. Everyone kind of sees everyone. It's all a little weird, unprecedented. With your passive, that's right. I asked you about your passive investigation. Someone came up the road yesterday after running some errands in town, delivering just kind of vegetation that they had harvested, had a seller for, that kind of thing. Came back into town, and you just overheard them in the square, kind of like talking casually, like, oh yeah, there was some like crazy hubbub in the market, some bizarre some kind of adventurer kind of strolled up and just made a giant scene. I don't know what's going on, but supposedly they're coming up the road. And you'd kind of like, you heard it, didn't super care. But now that they came up the road and you kind of see what's going on, it has sort of drawn your attention. And you hear even the halfling from the back start being like, okay, if we're in town, let's stay here for the night. It's going to be the last bed we sleep in for a little while, so let's make the most of it. And he kind of just like, he talks like he's getting up, but he's very much laying down still. And that's kind of orders or whatever. And then, certainly, I think you were in the middle of a thought. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that, like, while I know the whole party is pretty like diverse, I doubt that anyone's ever seen a gift of any kind before. You correct me on that?
No, totally. I mean, as far as
pretty alien.
As far as everyone not you is concerned, you all roll up and see this distinctly. I mean, alien is the literal word for it. Just someone of a people that you don't even know you've heard of. Extremely. I'm trying not to say alien here.
No, I mean it's the easiest
distinctly
way.
different from anyone you've ever seen, and who has extremely kind of like striking features in a totally separate way from Thinry, who kind of looks majestic and celestial, perhaps. There's a sort of like mystery or I'm also trying not to say like exotic because that's not the word either, but
Well, my guy has been. This is just out in the ether. My guy's been in this little community village for a little time now, and he's feeling he's starting to grow stagnant. So this change, very strange people coming. This is the first like different thing that's happened in quite some time.
It looks like they are well, at least from what you can hear from the person barking orders in the back of the van, that they're about to stay here for the night. Is there anything your character has to say about that?
Yeah, I'll just walk up and just kind of, whoever will turn ahead to me, I'll say, hello, what brings you to our village?
Everyone's sort of unloading, so anyone who feels like answering that question absolutely can.
Can you reiterate the question again? I couldn't hear.
Hello, what brings you all to our village?
Fox introduces himself. He's like, "Hello, we're just on the road. Band of adventurers on our way to adventure."
Adventurer? What do you mean by that?
Oh, you know, seeking hidden lands and vast treasures, the usual.
Henry like jumps in and is like, and oh shit, I lost my thought. Yeah.
Sorry, what was that?
No, I was like gonna say something and it just I lost it immediately when I opened my mouth.
Where do
Oh,
you
go ahead.
travel to? I know little of this land for the time I have been here.
Let me, can I roll a history check to see how much I can, like, drop knowledge about this place?
Sonottia?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And even if you have like bard knowledge, if that's a fucking thing. You until yesterday, you had not even been interested in the myths about this land. They were kind of like too. It's like walking up to a bard and like asking them to recount the deep lore of like Jack and the Beanstalk. You just didn't care. Like, you know it, you're familiar with it, but like you don't know anything beyond the basic sort of. Like, yeah, it's a place. It's supposed to have particular magical powers. People go there seeking return, and there are all sorts of various tales about like almost like nursery rhymes, like level tales, like not even epics or whatever. It's just like little cautionary tales about people who go seeking something, coming back, not finding it. You know, it's just like building up the myth, that kind of thing. But beyond the general knowledge that almost everybody has, you know how to spell it. And that's kind of it. As of yesterday, you're learning more because you're like, well, I mean, I guess we're gonna get to the bottom of this. Like, there's some kind of mystery to be like unraveled here, but you aren't even sure quite what yet. Whether this is all bullshit or what.
Fox has also asked you about where you're from, since you just said that you're not from here and you look the way you do. But where's
I am from another plane of existence. Are you familiar with the concept?
Like
Yeah, I'm from space. I know about
like further.
This
You
is to
from
go.
like another grassland?
I'm from the never-ending chaos between worlds.
Whoa.
Oh,
And
What?
that gets everyone's
The
attention.
characters looks confused.
Everyone's sort
Huh?
Julia just nods and pretends they know what's going on.
there's like
I
an
will
odd,
explain eventually. That's how it usually goes.
there's an odd tense silence amongst all of you. Everyone's just like between mixed affirmation and like head nodding and total bafflement. Like
I believe you call it limbo in this world.
even then, I think Fox or whoever would need to roll some sort of knowledge check to know, or religion perhaps.
Willingness to
if you'd
learn is
like
a
to-
sign of strength.
Sorry, what was that?
I said a willingness to learn is a sign of strength.
I would absolutely love to hear everything
About limbo. Fox is fascinated. Nobody knows what you're talking about. And as the sort of silence settles a little bit, as everyone's sort of like gauging who's gonna respond to like, oh, I'm from the never-ending chaos between worlds. Genrick jumps out of the back of the wagon, kind of squinting, looking around. The sun is, dying or whatever. He's like, we need to get somewhere to sleep. He turns around, he looks up at you, kind of completely nonplussed, doesn't even kind of look at you halfway different. He's like, do I know you? How many?
You know.
We need to talk in the morning. And then he's just like, where can I sleep? Like pointing at you.
Come, there are huts available. Thatched roof cottages, if you like.
He said, beds?
Straw.
I got money.
Hay.
Beds. Okay. I thought there were beds.
I'm jesting. We have box spring mattresses.
He's like, oh god, I had never drinking like that before a road trip again. Yeah, those. Like he rolls with it. Doesn't point out that those don't exist. He's like, yeah, take me to that one. He like tosses you a gold coin. We'll talk in the morning. I need to sleep. The road sucked. You did good though. Like points vaguely at the front of the horse carriage, whether or not Finry's still standing there.
I don't know where I am.
Oh.
I'm in limbo.
When he flicks the coin at me, I keep my hands folded in front of me, and it stops midair, sort of just a foot or two away from me. And I reach out and pluck it out of the air. And that's with my invisible mage hand.
He is, again, so drunk he doesn't notice.
For the record, I'm impressed.
Yeah, same here. Like, Henry's mind is blown.
What's everybody's passive perception?
Mine's
15.
15.
Sorry, what did I
15.
Okay.
12.
So 15 is the highest.
Also 12.
Also 12. So 12, 12, 15, 11. And then you had what?
14.
14?
14.
Whoever had the 15? Julia, right?
That's me.
You notice that Genrick does stop briefly when Azaram catches the coin midair without using his hands. But that the hesitation is like very swift, and then he just keeps walking. Drunk or whatever. Your employer, Genrick.
Oh, Genrick, okay.
You notice that he
So he did
notices. Yes, but he kind of plays it off.
He's lying.
But yeah, he kind of leaves you all. He kind of leaves you all to like, get the horses to stables. He kind of asks Azaram to take him to a bed, all that stuff. You guys can
You're like migrating on the screen.
you guys can do anything or nothing if you want to do stuff kind of in this
And
sort
yeah,
of.
I will guide him like to like wherever they're gonna be staying in the village, and I'm just prodding this drunk man. I'm like, well, where is it you are going? Because I'm curious, and like this is like my guy. It took him 15 years to realize that this plane of existence, there's more than dirty farmers in this little village.
Because you just like plopped in here, and that's just
Yeah.
what you've been. So you're like, wait,
He
what?
only now realized that there's like a city a day travel away. He didn't know about this for 15 years.
I tell him, I tell Azarim like everything about what we're doing because it doesn't seem like it.
Yeah, the most you get from Yenrik is just like, I'll tell you then. I'll tell you in the morning. I'll tell you.
And like, I hear the things that you say, but I probably don't really parse a lot of them. I'm like, how? Cause like, all of these concepts of like, what is an open field? What I don't really know what secret treasures are. What for this your people? Like, my whole context of like a world is kind of skewed. So it's like I'm a newborn baby, but not so much.
You have knowledge of a completely irrelevant set of environments and life
Physics.
Yeah, and physics and all that. Everything's new to you.
Oh man, that's super exciting to Fenry as a ranger, and she wants to just explain in great detail like all the different terrains and cities and stuff like that.
And he listens attentively.
Julia definitely info dumps every species of fungus that exists in Salt Star and the surrounding area. I talk about, it's like a Forrest Gump moment of just like, well, you've got the false moral, you got the autumn skullcap, you got the deadly webcap, you got the Xeno Silvifalaris, you got Podestrum
The
Cornu
deadly wet cap?
Sorry, what was that?
The deadly wet cap?
Yes, a deadly dappling. He also got the angel wing. Also, these are all poisonous, so don't eat any of these.
I like to imagine you're like pulling one out at a time. For example, like you literally have kind of a catalog of fungi.
I absolutely do. And I talk about like what they smell like, what their mouthfeel is, and how, in what way it will fuck you up through lots of investigation that I've done myself, so you don't have to.
Oh, look at that.
Interesting.
Dude.
You have taught me much. I must repay you.
The town seems to be winding down for the night. You found a bed for your boss. If you want, you can find beds for yourself, or you can just solve that problem however you like. Matt, is there anything that you do sort of in the midst of all of this nonsense? Is there anything you want to like follow up on or investigate or whatever?
I'm keeping my distance. I give. What was your character's name again?
Azaram? Mine?
Azaram.
Yeah.
So I give Azaram a friendly nod, and I'm like, "Welcome aboard."
Is your what's your character sort of like? What's Matt's kind of like demeanor generally?
He's friendly. We're all wanderers and travelers, it seems like, so I figure we're all gonna get along.
You're just so you're just like you're kind of like.
He seems friendly.
Sure. Cool.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I keep thinking that the sound is cutting out, but it's not.
Yes, but after they info dumped me with all of this information about their world, I'm very pleased. In exchange, I may give you a small teaching of Zerthamon.
Oh hell yeah!
Gesundheit.
Zerthamon.
Oh,
You
Hmm?
Azarim gets the impression that mushrooms are a much bigger part of the world
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
than
Like,
they are.
wow, how could I have missed the currency of fungi? These planar dwellers are strange. But let me tell you of a few of the teachings of Zerthamon. Number one, strength lies in knowing oneself. Those who do not know themselves are lost, open to the manipulation of others. And a willingness to learn is a sign of strength. These two lessons I can impart to you now. Perhaps in the future, I may teach you more of Zerthamon's ways so you may be enlightened.
Fenry was very the first rule you could tell she kind of closed off a little bit. Not taking it personally, but it made her very introspective. She kind of dips out after that. It's like, oh,
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, haha, whoops. Yeah, you all seem to kind of have like a natural chemistry even. Whether it's just kind of the absurd sort of pretext for the journey in the first place, or just because you have no set destination in mind, you just all seem to be kind of like going with the flow and taking everything in stride, and just together like, hey, whoever else it is, they're in a similar situation. And so you all kind of make your way into what's it called?
No
Not
name.
the horses.
Unnamed agricultural village.
No name. Yeah, township.
Fill that down on the map that I'm making.
I like to think there's a town name. You just haven't learned it in 15 years.
There, that's canon. Yeah, that's absolutely what's going on here.
Hell yeah.
Like people have even told you the town name, but that's just it's just like sand through your
You
fingers.
thought that was the world name.
Yeah.
Ah, yes. We're on the world of Thatchberry. I've learned that
Beautiful.
much.
Thatchberry. Yeah, this is kind of the Thatchberry Villa, and there's kind of farmland kind of stretching out into the wilderness all around it or whatever, where various people work it, and then this is sort of the town that it all comes together in, and
I didn't understand the concept that there could be more stuff further beyond the horizon. No one told me in 15 years. They just would leave and they would come back, and I didn't ask where they went.
Guess in limbo, they just manifest where they want to go, right? They just think about it.
Yeah, well, it is
Out of
a
character.
sheer force of the whole entire community of Gipzerai using their mental abilities to control the chaos of Limbo and shape it into their palaces or whatever they need. So without the strength in their numbers, they aren't able to hold back the chaos of Limbo and stuff. It's a very strange way of living, but they're all
so
about
they just shape Limbo to suit their needs,
And-
not so much travel around and
yeah, and so it took him a lot of his time that he's been here is probably him adapting to having this much more physical form, much more constrictive laws of physics, and not just being able to manifest things out of the chaos stuff. All he has is his mage hand now.
You're a noob at having a body, dog.
Yeah.
As you all kind of like settle down, and I guess someone offers you their home.
I have a thatched roof cottage. You stay at my place if you wish.
When you all get there, you notice that it's distinctly built and suited for about one person.
Please make yourself at home. Yeah. And then I have an instinct of wanting to just, fall asleep on the ceiling, but I'm past that point. I don't try that anymore. I go for my corner on the floor.
Oh, beautiful.
So there isn't a box spring mattress.
Not
I was
you.
really interested
no. There is
Big
some.
box for spring.
There is a bed in the corner, but I fall asleep on the floor, leaving the bed open.
Oh, okay. This makes perfect sense to my character. Just looking at the inside of the thatch roof hut, Julia just like lays down right outside of it. Just like, you know what? I like look at how my size, and I look inside, and I just curl up in a ball outside. And I'm like, this is good.
And before you, as you step outside, I sit up and I say, "Endure, and in enduring grow strong." And I go to sleep.
Very formal way to go to sleep. That's great. I love it.
That was the third lesson, by the way, when I go back to sleep.
Oh my god. Yeah, you all go to sleep one way or another. Fox, Finry, do you have anything?
I asked Henry if he wants to share the bed. I promise to be a gentleman.
Regular.
There are other villagers, right?
There are other villagers,
Dozens.
yeah. There's plenty. They're
There's dozens of us.
You can have it. I've made acquaintances with Georgette. across-
Georgette, she's such a lovely dear.
I'm like, she has a second room, so I don't be.
Georgette.
Richest woman in town, 2 rooms.
Okay, everyone's staying at Azarev's place, except for Henry, who goes across the town and knocks on Georgette's door and is like, "Hey, can I crash?"
Who the hell are you?
Where's Matt?
Huh?
Where's Matt?
Where is Matt?
I'm keeping watch. I'll keep watch for y'all.
Are you just like kind of hanging out outside? Where are you gonna sleep?
Yeah.
Are you just like standing up outside the door?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Very stoic.
I started a fire.
In his front yard.
Campfire.
Fire!
Yeah.
This is my thatch roof cottage!
No, you do it all right. It's a little absurd, but it's very rugged of you. Henry, you go stay with Georgette. You notice. Give me perception.
Who?
Henry.
16.
You notice everyone in this town so far who kind of has seen you has sort of like given you like a double take or something. You know, like people are like noticing you specifically. Like the whole thing to them is weird, but for some reason you notice that people keep doing that thing where you like just barely catch eye contact, and then it breaks and stuff like that. And when you knock on Georgette's door after talking about it, you notice that she's kind of like as you're asking her if you can stay the night and all of these things, all the sort of formal social interaction there, you notice that she's kind of like studying your face or something. But that she is very hospitable. She invites you in. She shows you to her actual box and spring, and then to the mattress that she has that you can stay on. A straw mattress to be sure, but it's a mattress.
Yeah, I feel like a little uncomfortable, but at the same time, I'm self-doubtful of like I doubt why I feel like
You're like, it's not that weird. It's not that weird. I'm overreacting.
as I fall asleep, I'm like, I hope that my dreams will maybe tell me something about this place, because I feel a weird gut response to it too.
Certainly.
Nightmare.
You all go to sleep, and in the morning, Ginrick is up and preparing everything as if yesterday was not even a thing to him. But he comes to Azaram's place where everyone's staying.
Already
and
up.
he knocks on the door. He gingerly walks around Matt's remnants of his campfire.
Please come in.
Presumably Matt's sleeping next to it. He's careful not to step on his stuff.
I would like to journey with you, sir. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
No,
Am I
go.
awake at this point?
Are you what?
Am I awake at this point?
If you want to be. He knocked on the door. He kind of like tried to wake everybody up. So.
Oh, okay. I like wake up to the door knock and like cast create bonfire right next to the really like shitty bonfire. And it's like nice and robust. And then I pull a morsel of food out of my sleeve, and I like cook it a little bit, and I like eat it just to get going because I need breakfast. It's like required. Started.
Nice.
I hear the like shocked exclamation of the bonfire being created and wander over from
Across
Georgia
the street.
see Julia cooking their food, and I'm just like, wait, since when?
I just wanted to show off.
You kind of leave the house without waking Georgia.
Yeah.
Was that her name? Georgette?
Georgette.
I think I said Georgette.
Yeah.
Georgette. Sorry, did not mean to disrespect Georgette like that. You wake without you leave without waking Georgette. It's still pretty early, and Ginrick kind of like just sort of like pulls a barrel or something over, like whatever you have that's like halfling chair height, in your humble hut, and he just like pulls it over.
The box, or the spring, perhaps.
He looks at both. He contemplates them both, and he opts for the spring.
An excellent choice.
He's like,
It's like a halfling.
You look like an interesting fella. But wait, you actually like preemptively were like, I want to travel with you guys.
Yes, yes, there you are. I would like to go with you.
He walks in. He looks like he's about to say something. You say that. He kind of like does that thing. His like mouth is open. He looked like he was just like, you cut him off like even before he said something. And he's just like nods his head, pulls up the spring, takes a seat. And he's like, I thought you might say that. What's your story, guy? What's going on? What's going on?
I realized that there is much more to this world. I must learn to see the whole, or be blinded to the truth. Lesson 5.
What was 4?
Endure. No, that was lesson 4. I'm sorry, that was lesson 4. You're right.
Those 3. He finds you
Fox is taking notes.
What? Are you Fox is
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what was 4?
Ginrick is absolutely just like somewhat just directly even amused. He's like, I mean, normally I gotta tell someone I'll pay him first, but
What is pay?
exactly. Welcome aboard. And he sticks his hand out and just like hangs it in front of you. And after a moment, it becomes clear you don't know what's going on. He like leans forward even more and directly grabs your hand and like puts his other hand around yours and like wraps it around and he like shakes you. He shakes your hand for you. You know, it's a deal. All right, get your shit together. We're leaving as soon as we got our stuff in the wagon.
I turn to whoever's nearest to me, I guess Fox, and I say, "Did that man just hex me?"
Probably not. But you know, how do you feel?
It was a peculiar happening.
Well,
I don't understand why it happened.
It's just it's a way to seal a deal.
It gets easier after a few days.
Handshake. I love that. Like, are you like implying that like Gia had to learn this too, and then it was a little bit tough?
Yes.
Oh, I love that.
I mean, Julia doesn't come from an alien place with different physics, but definitely had to learn like how to be
Social
even
niceties. Yeah.
all sorts of shit.
Well,
I tell him that there's lots of different kind of handshakes, and I'll teach him the cool ones. We're gonna be friends.
It's very
What about
important.
what about the warm ones?
Well, they're usually pretty warm. His palms are warm, sweaty.
Well,
They're fun ones.
there seem to be a good many of us. Many in unison can accomplish more than many alone.
Yeah.
Here it is.
That's-
Ew.
Oh, that's so good. Okay. Yeah. You all kind of like, unless otherwise stated, kind of begin packing. Azaram, having lived here for 15 years, you do notice that there's sort of a little bit of like, you know, kind of small town commotion energy. Like, this is kind of weird. All by itself, and on top of the fact that you're kind of weird. And
Bartholomew! I grab a villager. What is happening?
It's like, you tell us what's going on here.
It's breakfast time.
He's like, okay, all right, Azaram. Like, he's used to that kind of weak response, and so he's like, he just knows that he's not going to get anywhere.
You're the one who
like,
told me breakfast time was always this time, after you wake up.
He's like, yep, he kind of smirks, like he does have some sort of affection with this interaction, but he knows that it's a little bit beyond him to get the straight answer he wants. He's like, yeah, you're right. You want some breakfast before y'all head out? And he Bartholomew kind of points to the small tavern on the outskirts, where, you know,
I
it's
like to
literally
imagine that there was an inn in town the whole time.
no, it's not. It's not even.
Nobody ever stayed there.
It's not. It's not even an inn.
That's
like
what I
it's
thought.
it's literally like a place to sort of like eat and drink. It's a restaurant.
Watering hole.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, we got breakfast. We heard the talk around town today. Heard there's some travelers. Someone said they were seeing you off. Is it true? Are you headed out?
I believe so. I must seek balance and change,
He's like,
or
yeah.
lose sight of my goal. As I've told you before, Bartholomew, it's lesson 6.
Yeah, he says, yeah. He says, yep, lesson 6. Lesson 6 indeed. But yeah, he kind of gestures to he works at the tavern, and he kind of gestures toward it, and he goes inside. He's not waiting for y'all, but presumably if y'all wanted breakfast, he could get it there.
Let us break our fast, as they say in Game of
What
Thrones.
alcohol are they serving?
They have they have just standard kind of like meads and things that you could find anywhere. It's not
Berry
that great.
wine. Berry wine.
Fairy wine, you said?
Berry, because we're Thatchberry. It's a mixture of hay and berries.
Well, there you go. That's on the menu. That's their specialty.
It just has hay floating in the berry wine. Cross
I'm
contamination.
fascinated by the local agriculture and want to know more. It's like, oh, okay.
Oh,
That-
it's not a D&D.
We have
It's an odd drink.
we have vast vineyards all throughout our hay fields.
That's on the menu. When you ask for the alcohols, it's recommended to you. It is sort of expensive, and what was his name?
Who?
Bartholomew assures you that it's worth it.
It's our only export.
Julia's just
Bartholomew like shakes his head. He's like, "That's not correct," but
I've learned what an export is.
Julia's like, but berries don't grow on vines. At the vineyard comment, but she kind of doesn't nod more. Eager through it,
that was just me. That wasn't the character being stupid. That was me being stupid.
Oh, okay.
Whatever the details of this drink are, Azaram has communicated them to you poorly and mysteriously. But the Bartholomew assures Matt that it's worth his silver. Every ounce, he says.
I take a big swig and I say, where I come from, we're not a real group until we've all drunk together at least once. So I pass out drinks to everyone and say, to our new group, to wherever this adventure may lead. I
Nice.
take a swig.
Henry definitely cheers to that.
Yeah.
That's good
I've seen this.
country.
I've seen this ritual before, and I drink as well.
But
Fox lifts his mask just enough. You can kind of see his chin and mouth, but not really. Just enough to drink.
Julia,
one
like,
sip though. 'Cause I'm not gonna drink and drive.
Julia, it's like, yeah, and like drinks surprisingly fast by like lapping it up with my tongue fills the thing up. So it's like, and then yeah, it works surprisingly effectively, but it's a little messy. It gets on the floor.
Genrick follows you all last into the inn and sees kind of what's going on, and he sort of chuckles to himself, but he doesn't really interject. But with a passive perception of 15, you notice that he goes up to the bar, orders one for himself, and clears y'all's tab.
Oh.
Oh, nice.
I
don't know what a tab is. I work in town. I don't have to pay for anything.
The drink is surprisingly good, though. Has a very the front loaded flavor is very strong and dry. So it's kind of like one of those things where hits your jaw in that way that makes this sort of twinge.
Super tart.
Yeah, but like just at first, like it's like that first taste hits you like that, but then after that, it's sort of like your palate adjusts and it just tastes kind of like a rich, sort of fruity wine.
I imagine it tastes like a peach Red Bull.
Is it slightly
As the
effervescent?
Ram says to the end.
No, I don't.
These are all just words that you learn.
Julia kind of hates it. She's just like drinking ceremonially, but just like every time it's just like
Mm.
like loves the idea, loves the concept of fermentation, but just not their style.
I
Once
feel
you
like
all,
they know a lot about making their own kombucha.
Yeah.
They won't. You know a lot about scobies. You
Yeah,
just
I
don't engage in it.
a mean booch. But it is an acquired taste for Julia. They try. I also just did a little research that lizards just generally avoid alcohol. They
And
don't like it.
I turn into you every time you take a sip. When you make a face, I say, "Patience is a virtue."
lesson 7.
I ask to make sure and say like lesson means you learn something, right?
They are the number of teachings from Zerthimon.
Okay. Just maybe.
Like just making sure I know what you mean by lesson. You all have what sounds like a fine jovial breakfast. As you all finish having broken bread and drink together, there's basically all of the errands that you wanted to kind of run in this town. You're all done with it. You all make your way out to the wagons,
And I'm like saying my
sit-
goodbyes to everyone in town as well
mm-hmm.
that I've grown to know over the past decade
Uh,
and a half.
Yeah, that's important. So, you kind of make your rounds. Does anybody else do anything other than kind of like clean up and get in the car?
I
Yeah.
say goodbye to Georgette.
Georgette, Georgette like looks very sincerely at you and is like, "Take care."
Sick.
Yeah.
I just want to collect some of these berries for the road.
Absolutely. Yeah. Take care.
Oh yeah, can we bring berries?
If you guys want to grab some berries for sure. I mean, most of them are on plots of land that are actively sort of tilled by people, but you can totally buy some berries or grab some at them.
I point
You
at
know,
I point
you
at
make-
my
you find
patch.
it. Yeah.
I point at my patch and say they can have all of them.
Excellent. Yeah, you guys all grab. I mean, how big's your patch of berries?
It's a little garden beside my house.
Awesome. Well, do you just kind of like pick all the vegetation that you care to pick out of the garden and sort of make your way out?
Yeah.
I
But
pick a bushel and I ask Judy if they can teach me about fermentation later.
I imagined your character like walking out with a house plant.
Bring the whole plant.
I just have a small backpack and then a potted plant, and I put it up in the wagon. Ugh.
Do you?
Yes.
Okay, I love it. Okay. This is all happening. Anybody else have anything they want to do before they skip town? And then I'll handle something that happens with Azaram, and then that'll be it for the night.
I put the plant
Okay.
in, then I pat the
You're
plant.
you're all kind of comfy with your situation. As you're saying your goodbyes, a kind of nervous, middle-aged woman pulls you aside. You haven't interacted with her much, but she kind of like calls you by name and asks you a favor. But
Yes, old lady.
she's like, she sort of nervously laughs. She doesn't really care that you don't know her name. And she doesn't even introduce herself. She's like, but she kind of like asks you if she can ask you a favor, and then beckons you to kind of like lean over so that she can sort of whisper in your ear, and I'll send you what she messaged or what she says to you, in private. But she sort of like gives you a message, asks you a question, and then gives you well wishes on your journey.
I reach down, perhaps a bit too quickly and a bit too violently, and grab her hand and squeeze
Like shake it.
and yeah, like stare at her, but like I just grab her hand and stare at her and start like moving her hand around.
um, Here, well, let me see something.
Did you say?
She, huh?
Did you say
Julia's
something?
just doing a great job.
You something about the kind of like detached earnestness of your handshake, kind of like sets her nervousness at ease, and she kind of like laughs beside herself, even though she seems a little shook. Which when I send you the
I've been
message,
around for 15 years. They have some level of being used to me.
they know you're strange. It's just even still like surprising. The particulars are surprising every time, and so she just kind of like, but despite being nervous and being kind of like mentally preoccupied, your odd handshake kind of gives her a little bit of a laugh, and she says, "May the light of Palor shine on your journey, Azaram. I hope you return to us safely."
Endure,
Um,
and in enduring grow strong.
she kind of nods, and you make your way to the wagon. When you are all sort of situated for the journey, Ginrick just kind of like he sits up in the front seat this time to drive, though Finry is welcome to also sit up there and help drive and navigate and all that, because there's
No, I'll go in the back. I
but
paid my dues.
he jumps up there and he just kind of laughs to himself. And he's like, y'all are something. All right, let's head out. I hope I picked the right squad here.
I now climb up into the wagon. Sit on the bench.
Very cool. Well, that's it. Y'all have begun your journey toward the lost land of Sonottia, and between now and next time, I'm sure we'll have to kind of like hash out any sort of like developments between y'all and Ginrick and like what you might have asked and stuff. But yeah, this is it. Session 0. We did it.
Well done, Corey.
Hell yeah, that was
Yeah.
cool. Thank
I'm
you, Corey.
excited.
Mm-hmm.
I've got it all recorded.
Oh,
Except
perfect. I was gonna ask if you or Corey had recorded it.